All right, talk about loneliness. You say here, quote, there's nothing lonelier than being in a relationship where you're not connected to someone, where you have to hide parts of yourself or fight for attention. Let me keep it real, right? We're being real. I've got a few married friends that feel like they're in that place.
Yeah. Yeah, I've made a video about Gottman's like, you know, three things that determine whether a relationship breaks up or whether it continues for the long
Mm.
term. And the main thing is bids for attention. So if you say, "Oh, look at that tree," and your partner says, "Oh, yeah, that's a pretty tree," that is considered like a positive response to a bid. If you say, "Look at that tree," and they say nothing, that's like neutral. And if you say, "Look at that tree," and they say, "Oh, that tree's really ugly," or "Shut up, why are you distracting me?" That's a negative bid. And couples who had more negative bids or more neutral bids were more likely to divorce later on. And I think it's that feeling of like not being attended to by your partner, of you're trying to connect and they're saying no, that just feels so desperately isolating and can make you feel lonelier than if you were single, right?
Oh, yeah. And you talk in the book about, I hope I articulate, so fix my articulation if you wouldn't mind. But when I was reading your book, you talked about how sometimes when we're married for a long time, we're in a relationship for a long time, it almost becomes so familiar, like family, and that you lose the romantic side because you're not really romantic with family members, kind of a thing. So maybe you can clarify what I was trying to describe there.
Yeah, well, I think the more you build a life and build a family, you do become family, but you're also not related, and it's really important to not feel like your partner's mother or father, and you're not in a caring role, or you're not a child who's helpless. That you have to stay related on like an adult to adult level to keep the desire and the attraction. Um, but you also have to not be so disconnected that you are feeling that loneliness and feeling like you're, two strangers living in a house. So I think relationships are about balancing the need for closeness and the need for separation. And if you go too close, you start to feel like family and you might not want to sleep with each other anymore, or you might not feel romantically connected. And if you're too separate, then you're lonely, and no one wants to feel lonely in a relationship. So yeah, I think you have to kind of continuously reevaluate where you are on that spectrum and make sure that you create space and also closeness.